Holy goddamn, and we're back. Gonna get some, a lot of twists and turns coming here. I think we're gonna meet some of our favorite characters in the entire franchise coming up.
Yikes.
Dubious. Slightly dubious.
We should really try to make an effort of being positive.
Gotta be positive, guys.
Keeping it positive.
Remember your VR training sessions. The tool is exactly the same one. It maps the terrain as well as the position of enemy personnel. The bright dot in the middle is you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You've never used a radar before, huh?
But I think, I mean, in Metal Gear Solid 1 he does this because
it's a new radar.
No, but when you first start, you go from the underwater and you go up and you have to navigate your way around to the elevator. And then once you get to the elevator, then he explains everything to you. So, I guess that he kind of does it then as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the reason for that is because that was a new system that was introduced in that game, whereas the radar in here is almost identical to the first game. So it is very tedious at this point.
Right, and of course.
Yeah, we're going to get into that very, very soon. Jack.
Oh my goodness.
Who is that? Rose. And hello, everyone, to everyone's favorite character in the series.
Jesus Christ, I hate her so much.
And you know what? Guess where she stems from. Jack and Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Titanic.
That's true.
One of his favorite movies, guys. Sorry. We always praise Kojima and his great instincts, but man.
No offense to anyone out there that likes Titanic.
If you like Titanic, go fuck yourself.
No! Don't go fuck yourself.
And let me watch.
That's just a fetish he has about Titanic views.
No, let me watch Titanic while you go fuck yourself. I'm not interested in that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, this is getting weird.
It is really weird.
Yeah.
I'm masochistic. So he's going on about stuff that we already know, essentially.
Rose is integral to Raiden's character.
What little character that he has. By design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's revealed that he does have his own, but
we're gonna get into a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's so much.
Jack, you're stuck with me whether you like it or not. True words have never been said in the Metal Gear series.
What is it?
I'll perform my duties and save that mission data, but I'm aware
it's just weird because there's so many reasons that you don't want to be doing this. Like you don't want to be Jack. You don't want some weird girlfriend person with baggage
who's helping you under protest.
Under protest. There's just so many reasons that you're just like, wait, why am I stuck in this situation now? This is so different than any Metal Gear Solid game or Metal Gear game.
How funny is it that at the beginning, the very first codec you have in the game is that you have Otacon as your save. And he's your contact. And you're like, it's fucking Otacon. This is awesome. This is what I've always wanted. This is amazing. And then Snake even says, I don't have to deal with that Naomi anymore. I finally got you, Otacon. You can take care of everything.
Oh, that's true. He does call her like a nag.
Yeah, that old nag. And then here we are.
She's worse than Naomi.
She's like Naomi on crack.
Because Naomi's like fucked up for her own reasons. She has a lot of reasons to be a bitch. And then...
Well... Rose, there's more going on to Rose than meets the eye.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think it's very I don't think it's tacked on. It's just frustrating, but frustrating intentionally.
Right. So the ideal sequel to Metal Gear Solid would be what the tanker was. That's what everybody wanted.
Right.
And he intentionally said, you're not getting that.
Right.
Because all you want to do is replay the original game. So I'm going to let you do that in my own way. So this game is almost like an FU to the idea of sequels and people who want them.
Yeah. And we're going to be touching on this a lot because the whole idea of Metal Gear Solid 2, and Kojima said this, it's basically like a meditation and examination of what the concept of a sequel is. And we're getting into a lot of stuff now, and there's going to be twists. But just to touch on that briefly, originally the working title of this game was Metal Gear Solid 3. He wanted to skip Metal Gear Solid 2 altogether, intent to intentionally confuse the player, because he didn't like the idea. Because already Metal Gear Solid 1 was kind of like a riff on the idea of sequels because it was just a remake of Solid Snake for the MSX. So to have a sequel to a sequel, it's really, I mean, we're getting into weird territory right now. And it's going to get weirder with the idea of like VR missions and simulations and characters pretending to be other characters. So this, get prepared for a mind fuck.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
This is where the game transcends being a game and becomes a statement, like a piece of art.
What the fuck? It's not Snake. That's not Snake. What is going the fuck on here?
You're ridiculous.
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy? The hero of Shadow Moses? But I mean, okay, come on, guys. Like, this is a major moment in gaming. The switcheroo, the fucking twist.
Yeah.
You're not Snake. No one was ready for this.
Yeah. All the marketing leading up to it, every demo they showed, the tanker mission, the box art itself, the menu screen, the back of the box art, nothing shows Raiden. They did not show Raiden until that intro video right before we started the game, and you got to see Raiden next to Snake, and you're like, oh, cool. That's just going to be a guy that's going to be there with me while I'm fighting other guys.
Yeah, because you see
Snake.
like Ocelot in there and stuff. You don't like, you just assume he's another. He could be a boss.
It actually cut to Snake fighting alongside Raiden, and I'm sure it did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, such an intentional troll on Kojima's part. I mean, Dora, you played this when the game first came out with your brothers. What was the response in the room?
Well, I would say that we were pretty disappointed, but at the same time, we were like, I don't know how. I don't remember being crazy disappointed. I think we were just like, oh, so we're this different guy now.
Did you think it was just going to be temporary, like for a few levels?
I would say that we were like, oh, well, we'll get to be Snake later. Like this is just kind of introducing a new character, in which we were okay with, and we didn't have anything. Honestly, we didn't have anything against Raiden. And we were like, okay, so we'll be this different character for a while, interesting, and then we never got to be Snake. Well, yeah. Snake again, so.
Well, Josh, your first experience with the Raiden twist.
Hold on, real quick, Josh, before you say
this is also the most
one of my most favorite things in the whole game.
That sums up Raiden right there. I mean, come on. That was so intentional on Kojima's part. The very first thing that you can do with this new character is slip and bird shit.
Yep.
You could also get shit on by birds.
Let's just have that be a constant loop. Let's have like a 10-hour loop of
Man, I'm
Raiden.
having like so many thoughts in my head right now about like Arsenal Gear being like this cocoon for Raiden to become his own. Like,
we'll save that for later,
there's
Josh.
so much.
Yeah, we'll
to it.
save
It's
that.
crazy.
We're gonna talk about all this. We're gonna talk about it in due time. But Josh, what was your first like when you played this for the first time? Your response to who is this, or did you have it spoiled for you?
No, I didn't have it spoiled. I had like almost no reaction. I'd say it was pretty similar to Dora's. I wasn't disappointed at all. I wasn't. It was kind of like at that point with games, it was just like somebody made a game and then you played it and that's what it was. It wasn't like a. I didn't have any expectations.
Young.
Yeah, I was too young to have any sort of expectations or like you need to build it for me. And so like when I played it, I was just I guess. Okay, this is the game that this guy made, so I guess I'm going to play it. I wasn't at all disappointed or like upset about it. I was just like, okay, I guess I'm this guy now. And I played the rest of the game that way.
Yeah, you guys are really like mellow, like really going to the flow.
Yeah, I was like I said, and Dora said, I think we were just too young to really like. Not only were we too young to process what this game was and what it was trying to do, but we were also too young to like really be upset about it. I was just like, oh, this stuff happens in games. I guess this guy decided I was going to be a different guy this time. So I just played it.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how much of the actual genuine response at the time was this like horror.
This operation is under Pentagon's direct command, and the NSDD came from the Vice President and the Secretary of Defense.
But it's kind of like this myth built around it. And I'm sure that when most people played the game, they kind of had the response that you guys did, that you had such goodwill towards it that you were just really ready to roll with it. Yeah. And it's probably like the backlash like after the fact by publicists and things like that. Because I have very rarely actually run into someone who was genuinely upset that they had to play as Raiden. I mean, yeah, he's not cool as Snake, and it is disappointing, but I've never actually met someone who was like, fuck Raiden. That was the worst. That like you ruined my childhood. That was the worst moment in gaming.
I've seen people say that now. I don't know that happened then.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like something you say on the internet to be cool.
Like I hate Raiden because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very hard pressed to find someone who's a genuine fan of Raiden in this game, who likes him like more than Snake. But I think the hatred of him is probably a little overblown.
I think it would be a lot worse if there were 2 games where you played as Snake and it was like the set standard. I mean, I know that
there are 3 games.
The Metal Gear games, but like, and for I think most Americans, we didn't really play the Metal Gear games.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so really, to me, I only played one game that had Snake in it. And so it wasn't a set standard for me.
And you know what? To be fair, that brings up a good point because in the Japanese market, this is technically the 4th entry in a series. And that's actually pretty standard in a franchise that by the 4th entry, you do tend to shake things up a little bit. You do add a new character, you add some fresh blood, and it never goes down very well.
Yeah.
It's never very well received, but that's usually at the point that you do try to add something.
Right.
And that's the thing, and I think central to this game is that, like, if you want to play Metal Gear Solid 1, go play Metal Gear Solid 1. Mm-hmm. This is Metal Gear Solid 2, so if you're not okay with that and you wanted to play Metal Gear Solid 1, go plug in your PlayStation 1.
I feel like Kojima's that was kind of his mindset at the time.
Mm-hmm. It seems that way. I mean, I'm still pulling this game apart in a lot of ways, but like, it seems like the attitude behind it is like, you've already played that game. Why do you want to play it again?
Right.
The way we've kind of naturally segued into this, but I do have some things, like some interesting quotes from Kojima that were from his design document that he said, like things that he wrote down while he was pitching this game. And one of the things that he said was that the whole point of Metal Gear Solid 2 was to draw in a completely new audience that had never played a Metal Gear game before, and that the idea of Raiden was to draw in new gamers, people who had never heard of Metal Gear before, and they just knew that there was a franchise that had some really popular elements to it. And that's what the idea of the tanker level is. Tanker is supposed to be for those people who had been familiar with the series before, and that was kind of like throwing them a bone. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's really ballsy. I mean, that's one thing you could always say about Kojima. The fucking balls on this guy to do something like that, especially since Metal Gear Solid 1 was such a fucking runaway hit. Like, that no one saw coming. Mm-hmm. And then to follow that up with like a fucking game changer.
So we just listen in. I'm patching it through.
To play to that, originally, the whole section that we just played with Snake in the tanker section was supposed to be an Easter egg.
Really?
That was originally in the very first design of the game. The game would start with this section that we're playing right now. So that's why we're getting the map rundown again. Well, that's why Colonel's interrupting us every 5 seconds, telling us how to play the game again. Is because you're supposed to be coming to this fresh as Raiden right off the bat. And that's why the opening is so similar to the opening with Snake. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be that if you had memory card saved data from Metal Gear Solid 1, it was going to recognize that. And remember, Josh, you were saying earlier that in Snake Eater, it says, "Are you a fan of Metal Gear Solid 2?" Mm-hmm. And then it would change the opening. It was the exact same thing, ideally. It would say, "Are you a fan of Metal Gear Solid 2?" And Metal Gear Solid 1. And if you said yes, you would get the tanker that would be unlocked for you. Just kind of like the VR mission in Metal Gear 1.
Right.
You could do that to warm up for the game. That was the idea of the tanker mission. And supposedly, I'm not sure if this is true, but there were some versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 that when it was released, you had the option of skipping the tanker level. You can go straight into the Raiden section.
Yeah, I mean, even on this, you have the tanker plus plant, and then you also have just tanker and plant.
Whoops.
So you can skip tanker altogether if you wanted to just play this, which is also really interesting. It's like 2 games in one, one being a very, very short game.
Well, it's really weird that Kojima, like, right off the bat when he was making this game, he was just like, I want to split the audience. Like, he was like, I want to split it for new gamers, and I want to split it for what he called core gamers.
Yeah, what I read it as, reading that design document, which you can find online somewhere. Somebody actually uploaded the design document from Kojima Productions, KCEJ at that time. Yeah, it's like, this is what I want to do. But in that, it seemed like it was, hey, I want to do a new character for Metal Gear Solid 2. but we have all these fans who love Metal Gear Solid 1, and they want something too, and they're not going to like this, so... or they're going to be more resistant to this, so let's do a tanker mission that is like gives them kind of what they want as a Metal Gear Solid 1 fan, and then everybody else and people who are willing to accept this new one will get to play the plant chapter.
It's like if Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, if like the whole movie was the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then suddenly it's all about Mutt, the new Indiana Jones. Like, that's really what he did. And almost like, or if it was just Mutt, you know, like his son, and then on the DVD, as an extra feature, you could have what that last story with Indy was. It's kind of, I mean, it is just fucking kind of crazy ballsy on his part.
Yeah, I don't think that what happened with this game, what he did with this game, will ever be done ever again.
Yeah.
For many different reasons.
Mostly
there's
marketing.
Yeah, there's marketing. There's like the entire, like I said, the entire marketing showing was nothing with Raiden.
Never any mention of Raiden at all.
That was like a bait and switch or a trick of sorts. Like,
that was not accidental.
Yeah, it was not a like, oops, we didn't know Raiden was going to be in the game. Like, no, they intentionally didn't show him.
Well, that's actually interesting because that actually calls into question a lot of what Kojima says, is that his whole point of Raiden was to draw in a new audience, and he was trying to get a very specific audience interested in the game. However, if that were true, why didn't he use him in the marketing?
Right.
Why didn't we see Raiden all over the posters? Why didn't we see trailers with Raiden? So it kind of makes you wonder.
I think that like the people who are fans of MGS1, they wanted to see the tanker, and that's what he showed. So like, as an MGS1 fan, you see the tanker and the bits he showed of that, and the demo he included with Zoe, and you're like, oh man, that's amazing. Little did you know that there was a whole other chunk of the game that was nothing like that.
Just what has the new guy got himself into? And how do you viewers at home feel about this Raiden character anyway? Did he completely ruin your childhood? Or is he a pretty decent guy? Let us know in the comment section below. And to find out what happens to him in the next room, be sure to check out the next episode of Our Metal Gear Year.